Champ, I mean, I know, nothing's normal anymore, but this is a lot more normal of a fight week than the last one you had. So I just wonder, I mean, is there a different feel, a different vibe, with things being a little bit more traditional versus last time?
I kind of I asked myself that yesterday because I felt, we're quarantined to these hotels, UFC's doing their thing, but they're exactly not as, extravagant as the former hotels. And I was sitting there, I'm like, why am I so relaxed? Usually fight week, I'm dialed in every single day. But I felt pretty relaxed, and that could go to attest to a couple of different things. Maybe because this is kind of like the second go around mentally to prepare for this guy. And also just kind of, I'm reserved in where I'm at right now in my career, in life, a couple of things. I still have that same competitive edge, but I'm reserved to the point where I'm trying not to stress the things that don't really matter.
I wondered about that, right? Because the last fight, it was such a circus, right? But with the circus comes a lot of extra pay-per-view buys, I imagine. You know what I mean? This one's a lot more reserved, a little bit more low-key in the build-up. So do you like this where it's not quite like last time, or do you welcome those kind of circuses because they come with the bigger paychecks?
It's a little bit of both. Of course, the paycheck is always nice. When you have a circus like the last one or the one before that. It's always nice, but this one it's okay too. But a lot of people are kind of writing this off. All friends, teammates are fighting each other. At the end of the day, I don't see anybody. There's no friends in there. What could be more? And that's kind of the way people have been putting it is, those other two fights were more personal and things of that nature. This one not so much. What could be more personal than someone who you train with every day saying, I see what you have. I want that. I'm going to take that from you. What could be more personal than that? So each and every one of these fights, I approach the same. When we step in there, I see no face. I just go in and take care of business.
As you said, that's the storyline, right? The former training partners. But I do wonder, I mean, realistically, whether it be psychologically, whether it be tactically, I mean, is there really an advantage for one guy or the other, or is a fight a fight? I mean, does that familiarity give anything extra, or does that go away once the cage door closes?
Yes, of course it goes away because I think we haven't really trained a lot together in the last couple of years. I think it does go away a little bit because he's going to try hard, and I'm going to go in there and give the effort that I always give. And I know DC said earlier this week, or maybe it was last week, that we both know what's going to take place. And of course, I like the fact that he's got all this confidence going right now, and I like it. He's put the work in the last year and a half. He's really done some good work, and I see that, and I recognize that, and I commend him for that. But we both know.
Your last 5 fights especially, I mean, it's been a run of just absolute killers, right? I wonder, where does Gilbert rank in that? I mean, knowing that you are familiar with him, where does he rank in terms of danger, in terms of skill among those guys that you've been fighting lately?
Gilbert is the most dangerous guy right now to date. That's why he's fighting me. If he's not the most dangerous guy, he's not the best guy, then he wouldn't be fighting me. He's done his work, and he's improved a lot, and which is why he's here. And so I don't take him lightly. I take him very, very seriously. Even when we trained together, he was very tough. He was very, he's one of those guys that could push me, and I like that, and I respect that. So yeah, I'm taking it very seriously, and I do think right now for sure he's the most dangerous guy.
I know you're clearly not, looking past him, but you're starting to build quite the resume, man, and quite the, this legacy of your championship career. So what are your goals this year? What are you hoping to accomplish? Are there a number of fights you want to have? Are there things you want to do this year?
I would love to have 3 fights. 3 fights is 3 times the paycheck. So I would love to do that, but obviously in recent years, knowing that I'm not a spring chicken anymore, and all the miles that I put on my body kind of dictates how many times I'm going to be able to fight. And plus, we're kind of in a tricky situation now with COVID. It's not just, you don't have the fans, you don't have the crowd, you don't have all these other things that kind of entice you to where it's like, yeah, I want to be on that card. I want to fight on that card. And so, I think yes, I would love to maybe fight 3 times this year, but we'll see. We'll see if my body permits it. I would love to do it. If my body doesn't, then I have to listen to my body.
Lastly, for me, I had to ask you. The UFC released a pretty powerful video today, UFC Chronicles, about your backstory and your career. I was curious if you had a chance to see it and what your thoughts were on it.
I haven't sat through the whole thing. I've seen little clips while they were putting it together. It was an honor for me to finally share that. That's one thing that I've been seeing lately is just kind of how people and the media and fans kind of perceive me. It's the fact that just because I'm quiet, just because I'm not the most braggadocious or boisterous guy out there, they kind of overlook me. They kind of take it as kind of like a weakness, to where that's not the case at all. In most cases, the most quiet guy in the room is probably the most dangerous guy in the room. And, I'm very calculated in how I go about certain things. And just the fact that I'm not loud about it, people don't really know. Like the whole situation, especially with my father's situation. Yeah, I went through that for almost 11 years. And people didn't really know about it. Because I don't have to sing it. I don't have to cry about it each and every day. We dealt with it. We handled it. And, it's just, I'm just thankful that he's home now, that he can actually get to enjoy this with us now.
Will he be at the fight?
No, he won't be at the fight. It's just, I didn't want to cheat him of the experience. Everyone in here can agree that there's something different about a UFC event. When you're in T-Mobile Arena and it's sold out, that's different. There's a difference in that. The electricity in that building is what hooks everyone. When you come to a UFC show, that's one thing UFC does better than anybody in the world is that electricity. And I wouldn't want to rob him of that. I want him to still experience that. Hopefully it's in Africa, hopefully.
I bet you can buy him the pay-per-view now, though, huh?
Yeah, I can buy him a little bit. We might have to split it, but, I think I can afford it.
Kamaru, earlier, Gilbert was in here and he described your sparring back in the day as even. I was interested if you feel that's a fair representation. Yeah,
I never like to go into, this person got the better of this person in sparring, but you can if I'm training and I'm in a training camp and I'm preparing for a fight and he's not, of course they bringing him in. His sole purpose is to come in there and push me and try to break me for those rounds because you want to get me prepared and vice versa. And so we felt those motions. We felt those with one another. Of course, there's days that he probably got the better of me and vice versa. But like I said earlier, we both know how tough this fight's going to be.
He actually did reference your quote saying, "We both know," and he said that we both know he can submit you. He says he can get you from anywhere.
So can Damian Maia.
I was curious if there's one thing you can take out of those sparring sessions with Gilbert that there's an area that you have an advantage in. What would that area be?
I'm just better. That's the thing that I say about. I've said it before. When I won the title and I said it, I let the world know I might not be the best boxer in the game. I might not be the best jiu-jitsu player in the game. I might not be the best kickboxer or karate guy in the game. But when it comes to mixing it up, I'm the best in the world, and that's why I'm the champion. And so, of course, who can argue that Damian Maia is the most dangerous submission expert we've ever seen in the sport? And Damian took Gilbert down, had him in trouble a little bit. How was that with me? So it's, of course he has those accolades. Of course in a submission match, could he potentially submit me? Yes, of course. So can Damian Maia. So can probably Sergio Moraes. But we all saw how those all went.
I saw a clip from the Anatomy of a Fighter with you where you said that, you had these coaches that you thought had your back and then they started telling the junior guy that he could beat the varsity guy. I'm not trying to bring negativity to your week, but is there some hard feelings there with you?
No, it's not necessarily hard feelings. I made the decision. That was me. And it was a decision that it wasn't just made. I know a lot has been made about, you made the decision to leave for this fight. It's not just for this fight. I actually almost left a couple fights ago. It's just I'm in a point in my career to where I'm looking for something a little more fine-tuned. I'm a little older in my career now, and I know I haven't been in the UFC that long, but all the years that I put into wrestling before, and I've been beating up my body and tearing up my body. I'm kind of in a place now to where it's not necessarily train as hard and grind as much as I've always done. It's to where you kind of got to do it smarter, and so I needed a little bit more attention and a little more fine-tuning, and that's kind of hard to do when you're on a team of 40, 50 guys, and the coaches are gone every other weekend. That's very, very tough to do. So I needed a little more, and I found, a situation and the coach that could give me that time. But, that's just what you said earlier. That's my mentality. That's where I'm at. I'm when you're the starter on the team and the starter's hurt, of course the coach has got to step up and talk that JV guy up. Hey, you're the backup, but hey, yeah, you can step in for us, and you could be that guy. You can step in for us, and that's the case here. That's absolutely the case, and that's how I'm approaching this.
You last fought in July, and Gilbert fought at a similar time, and yet in the welterweight division, there's still no number one contender after this fight. Why is it that this division, it's like the guys never seem to fight each other, and the division always seems to stagnate? We haven't seen Masvidal, we haven't seen Colby, we haven't seen Leon. That's probably not his fault, but why is it that this division just seems to grind?
Well, I wouldn't say it stagnates. I think it's one of those situations to where we've all seen it when it rains and pours. It's like 1 week, boom, they can book 4 or 5 welterweight fights, or it could be 3 or 4 or 5 months before they book some of the fights. So, excuse me. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't say it stagnates. I think if you look at the top 10, and I've beaten probably 7 of those guys. It's like, okay, who do we throw at him now that hasn't dominated? So I think some of these guys just need to do what they need to do in order to stand out. Covington did it. He did what he needed to do. He said what he needed to say to stand out, and he had his shot. And of course, Masvidal stepped up. He did what he needed to do. He thought he was Jesus. He thought he was going to baptize people, and he stood out. And I dominated him as well. And so, now Gilbert is doing the same. Gilbert has, he said what he needed to say and went out and won the fight with Woodley. And, now he's standing out. So it's up to these guys to be able to present that. Or if that's not the case, then, I have to find out what's next.
Kamaru over here. I've been very curious about this because your last fight, you weighed in 170, Masvidal weighed 170. Aren't you the BMF now?
Of course I'm the BMF, if that's the thing. That was, and I said it before, that was just kind of something that they created just for that event. It's like it's giving a participation medal for, these guys participated in this event. So here's a participation medal. That's not real gold. He's not going to go down in history books UFC champion. That's just, he's going to go down to BMF. 20 years later, the kids are going to ask, what's a BMF, Daddy? He's like, I was a BMF champion one time. Who else won it? Who did you win it from? I don't know. They just handed me a ribbon and said that I was a BMF champion. So that's how I think about that. But if you really want to say it, you can't still be the BMF after being dominated for 5 rounds.
So if they were to say that belt is on the line for another fight for him in the future, what would your statement be?
That's not pretty legitimate, is it? It's not very legitimate. You can't take L's and be the baddest motherfucker in the game. You can't. So, yeah.
I want to ask, because your last 2 fights, obviously there was a lot of hype for that, and then Colby said a lot. You've said it, you're not a guy who gets out there and gets into the war of words with these guys. So being a quiet guy, how do you feel like you have to handle yourself when Colby is out there, when you're being an analyst getting in your face, or when Masvidal is coming at you at Super Bowl week? I mean, how do you handle that?
It's great for those guys because that's how they separate themselves from the pack to get the opportunity to fight me. And that's great. I appreciate them for being able to do that. But for me, I didn't get in the game for that. I didn't get in this game to be famous or anything like that. I got in the game to be a martial artist and to prove that I was the best when it comes to competing in this this sport. And so that's what I've done. I've done that each and every time and time again. And so if these guys want to continue to talk and say what they need to say, that's more power to them. But that's just not something that I engage in. When it comes to talking, I will simply state what I'm capable of and what I will do. And I said it. I told Tyron Woodley, he asked me at the press conference, what are you going to do better than me? And I said everything. I will dominate you from start to finish. And I did that to Tyron Woodley. Colby Covington said the same thing. What are you going to do? I'm going to leave you on a stretcher, this, and this. And I told him, I will punish you for 4.5 rounds, and I will finish you. And I did just that. Masvidal said the same thing. He's going to baptize me. He's going to do this and that. And I told him, you are the same journeyman you've always been. I will dominate you on my worst day. And what happened? I did just that. So I just state the facts. I state what I'm able to do. I don't have to be boastous. I don't have to boast about it or be braggadocious. I know what I'm capable of, and that's what I state.
Finally, I noticed there's quite a camaraderie between yourself, Israel Adesanya, Francis Ngannou. You're very proud of your heritage, the Nigerian Nightmare and everything. Is there a bit of, I guess, excitement that you kind of get to get the ball rolling for all of you guys? They're both fighting next month. Obviously, there's a push for UFC Africa. Do you feel like you're kind of starting it, get it rolling for everybody?
Absolutely. That gets me excited each and every time. It's just something about it. I think it's just the way that we're raised and where we come from and the struggles that we come from, to where it's like when you see someone doing something incredible like that, you can't help but to be happy. And my heart is just filled with joy when I watch these guys. And so, yeah, I was extremely excited when I was able to get out there and win that title and let these guys know. I'm sure it was a little extra oomph for them, like, yo, we can do this. We can do this. We can come from Africa and we can still achieve this. And so once again, I'm excited to be the one to get this year rolling for us. And clean sweep, by the end of the year, Africa is going to have three belts.
UFC Africa, you, Israel Adesanya, Francis Ngannou. Who's the main event?
It's kind of hard to deny Francis. That's a tough one. It's kind of hard when somebody can just breathe on you and you go to sleep. It's kind of hard to deny that from Francis. And it's just something about Francis, too. If Francis walks in the room right now, everybody will know that Francis is in the room. He just commands that presence. And I see it. I recognize it. And I love it and I appreciate it. And, it's kind of hard to deny the heavyweight champion of the world, not headlining the event.
Thank you.